What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the Overview. I'm ChanManV and joined by Fishstix. My camera is doing something really cool right now. Which
You look like a visionary.
Oh, right. I know.
Looking
okay.
off
I'm going to
into
have
the
to
future.
fix that for a second. But yeah, Fishstix, Doa, welcome to the show, of course. Joining me today. And got lots of stuff to talk about. You guys talk while I fix this real quick. Hold on.
Oh, welcome to another episode of the Overview. My name is ChanManV. My name is Fishstix, and that's Doa. What's up, Eric? How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. It's 11 a.m. in Korea, so esports morning has just begun, and I'm awake and chipper watching some Alienware Monthly Melee on the other monitor. Hopefully, I won't be too distracted.
Oh gosh, great. Yeah, I think we all have it on the other monitor, which is happening right now. But hopefully, you guys can. All of you watching right now, hopefully you can watch both of them at the same time, because we got a lot of great discussion to talk about.
We are much
today.
more interesting to listen to.
Of course, right? You can watch the same teams play each other, like, at the tournament tomorrow. Too.
5 times a week.
5 times a week.
Like every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty much. No, but actually there's a good match between the Cloud9 and Fnatic going on right now, so that's good. It's like these second, third place matches are much more entertaining than the actual grand finals. So.
Well, yeah, the finals are just envious, crushing people in every tournament.
Right, exactly. So yeah, tonight, guys, we got lots in the lineup. We've patch. It seems like always we do shows. At least we did doing a late show, so we actually get a few hours before to play the patch. So a few changes balance wise. We've got some graphic novel news as well as a new comic. A pretty interesting article that I just wanted to link and maybe just bring up where a Street Fighter designer talked about just the ELO and ranking system currently in competitive Overwatch. Esports news, some team drama and team news, so we should cover a little bit of that, as well as a bunch of events, a rundown of Overwatch Open, ESL Atlantic Showdown, some of the GoSu events, and then Doa can catch us up on the Nexus Cup finals that happened earlier this week too.
Right.
And then meta talk, just what we've seen so far with all the events and with the changes now, week and a half in, with all the players practicing and things like that. What have we seen? And at the end, of course, we're going to do some Q&A, so go ahead and tweet your questions to the Overview GG or at me, at ChanManV. Otherwise, we'll probably take some from Twitch chat like we always do. But okay, patch, guys. So a patch rolled out earlier today that some balance changes to McCree. I'm not sure if it's a nerf or a buff. I think it might just be balanced actually.
I would call it a balance.
Yeah,
it's just a change.
Yeah.
First impression. Yeah. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, clearly, I think his damage range was a little bit long for his primary fire. And so seeing that reduce is probably going to be a helpful thing for Pharaoh players everywhere, perhaps. And hey, nobody was using Fan the Hammer like at all. So now already, in this tournament today, we're seeing people start to use it again. So, again, it's very early, but it seems good on first glance. Yeah, and just to catch everybody up, at least the folks listening, the changes that we see, we got Anna too, but since we brought up McCree first, Peacemaker, the primary fire. The fall off range is decreased by 10 meters now, so you can't shoot quite as far and still have just max damage like we were seeing here. It's still further than it was before the last change, but definitely a bit less. Also, the alternate fire, like Doa was saying, Fan the Hammer, the rate of fire is increased by 15%, and then the flashbang recovery time is decreased from half second to 0.35 seconds. So sounds like everything with the whole flashbang and Fan the Hammer combo was increased or buffed, while the left click was obviously nerfed a little bit, which really needed it, because I suck at McCree and I was just wrecking with McCree. Anytime I play McCree, I was just using left click the whole time, running around just shooting down Pharaohs, shooting whatever wasn't behind Reinhardt shields or Diva matrixes, and it was pretty easy actually. It needed to be changed. Definitely needed to be changed.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great change because, as you rightly said, Doa, no one was using Fan the Hammer. It just wasn't good. Even against tanks, it wasn't really doing what it was supposed to. So now Fan the Hammer is relevant again. Shoots a lot faster. And also, of course, you have more time after the flashbang to aim for the headshots. If you're doing left click, or if you're against the tank, you can still fan the hammer and have a little bit more time, both in the shorter fan the hammer and the more time after the flashbang goes off.
Yeah.
And of course, we all know that McCree, the joke that you heard in like every other public game or every other competitive match was like Mick Widow. He's like another sniper. So thank God that that's going the way of the dodo and disappearing from the competitive games that we've all been playing. I'm super happy about that as like a Pharah player and somebody who does typically play long distance against McCree. It did feel kind of rough getting, 3 body shots and you're freaking dead, and that can just happen in a second. So this brings McCree kind of to where I believe Blizzard wants him to be. He's incredibly good at killing flankers, incredibly good in that he can still stop Reaper in the middle of his ultimate. He can flashbang a pesky Tracer and headshot her, and she's dead. He can still deal okay with Genji, but he just doesn't have that same super long distance range. And I think, honestly, this is not going to impact his pick rate a ton. I still think he's going to be picked in almost every combination because he's still so good in so many situations. It's just a very particular situation that he's not quite as good anymore. So I love this change.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to get a feel for at least what the decrease is, because there's no visual indicator as to when it happens. Like somebody like a Pharah in the air doesn't turn yellow whenever she's in range versus not in range. So I think it'll take a little bit of getting used to, because 10 meters, I mean, that's hard to get a sense for, right? So he's still
gotta feel it out after a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll probably have to like play some Pharah and see how much damage like those McCrees are doing. But at least we'll see some Pharahs. Right now we're seeing like 0 Pharahs in any of these pro games.
Well, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but it seems like the big problem for Pharah right now is, McCree was like harsh, but D.Va really seems to be kind of the prime culprit rather, not in that she can not only soak the ultimate, of course, but she can also just soak a lot of the regular attacks that Pharah does. I had the opportunity to watch some Envious scrims earlier this week, and I was talking to them in Cloud9, and the general consensus seemed to be that like D.Va was a bigger problem for Pharah than anything. So it'll be interesting to see if Pharah maybe does make a little bit of a comeback, but I still think she's got to deal with D.Va, which is the main problem right now.
And Discord orbs.
Discord
orbs.
That too.
Right now. Yeah, just all
good Zenyatta's can pick her out of the air too,
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty easy actually to shoot Pharah out of the air with Zenyatta. You're exactly right with that, Dua. I think the Matrix is like so much better than say like a Reinhardt shield. A lot of people are saying, Reinhardt shield was good against Pharah too, but the difference is, guys, is that the rockets not only eventually get through the shield, and if you're literally hitting the shield completely, you'll kill the Reinhardt too eventually with an ult, but also the rockets explode off the shield too, so they still get they can get like a little bit of damage too, that in that fashion, where the D.Va Matrix literally eats the rocket. Like the rockets just disappear completely.
Yeah.
So it's such a huge difference, in terms of talking about tanks and dealing with that, as well as, like you said, just one at a time, just one shot at a time, which Ben, you actually predicted, right? Like the first time we talked about D.Va, which is just tapping the button every time a Pharah shot's coming and just eating it up. And I think we're seeing that a lot too. So yeah, definitely D.Va's tough times. May not be shot out of the air as much with McCree, but still the damage is just not quite as effective as it used to be.
Yeah, I think D.Va's defensive matrix needs to be not a toggle. I'd like to see.
I like the toggle.
I like the toggle actually.
I'm sure D.Va players like the toggle, but everyone who has a projectile in the game probably isn't a huge fan.
Just make it 3 seconds instead of 4.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's too long. I think that's
something like
thing.
that. I think like. That's a significant change. That'd be 25% less duration. I think something like that could probably bring it into line with where it should be. I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah. Let's see. Anna. So Anna actually had a change to her biotic rifle. So rate of fire increased by 20%, and magazine size increased from 8 to 10, which it used to be 6. So it's gone from 6 to 8, and then now 8 to 10. Obviously a pretty big issue, and we haven't seen Ana at all in these events. partially because people haven't practiced with her enough, to really feel that confident. But still a little surprising. You think somebody would have tried, some kind of very selective scenario on some map and using Ana, because I know a lot of people have been trying her out, and I mean, I definitely see a bunch like on streams and whatever matches I do see, but not yet in any of the events, at least from the top teams.
Yeah, I think we will eventually, but I think more than anything, teams just need more practice with her. It's like, where does she fit in with the comps right now? And the big question too is like, who on the team is going to play her, because she's a different skill set generally than what a lot of support players might have. So I think that's kind of a question teams need to figure out too, is that like, do we actually have our supports play Ana, or do we maybe have one of our DPSers play her? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how teams kind of handle that.
Yeah. I think she's so good. Like, she's really good. Her ability to heal is probably, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got to aim. The healing with the gun itself isn't that great. If you combo it with the grenade, then it's much, much better, but it's, that's very situational. She's not as good of a healer as Lucio or someone else. But
not super hard.
I mean, her sleep ability alone, I think, has so much potential in every single team fight. If you can hit that one sleep at the crucial time, you're taking one player out of the fight for 5 seconds. Like, that alone is such a big deal. And you have to imagine, with 10 shots per clip and now shooting at a much higher rate, she's going to be healing faster, but she's also going to be doing damage faster. Like, this actually makes her a more credible threat to actually get kills now as well. So, I mean, she's always going to be so hard to use. She's going to have a really high skill ceiling. But I think there's some people who are going to start showing up sooner than later as like incredible game-changing Anas. Like that sleep, I think people are sleeping on the sleep because that's just such a ridiculous ability, man.
Well, what's
she has the potential to be kind of like a super Zenyatta almost. I mean, a different ult, of course, but just in terms of like, I feel like Zenyatta offers a lot of pushing power, specifically on offense. And I feel like Ana can offer a lot of that same utility too once people start to get really good with her.
Yeah, I mean, her ultimate is just like breaking, defensive breaking type of ult. And I think what will eventually happen too, like to your point, Ben, is that both teams will play Ana, and like the only way to stop that ult will be to sleep the person with the ult too, and that's going to be pretty crucial, I think, to the compositions. But the pros will definitely be able to highlight all of these amazing plays, because I think at the level I'm playing at, we're not going to see any of those epic sleeps, and sleeps are just hard to pull off. Those ult changing sleeps, or those sleeps on the healers, those are probably going to be the biggest things, right? Just putting those healers down, but during a fight, and it actually costing one team just that team battle. So can't wait to see it, and starting to see the beginnings of it when I watch some of these players play, and it's going to get there. I hope we see it in some of these big finals.
It's been out for 1 week.
I know.
It'll happen.
It'll take time. Like, think of it in terms of like a LOL or whatever, right? I mean, it takes like at least generally a month before you see teams start to really effectively use a new character that's available. So I think it's reasonable to think we're going to see something similar in Overwatch, and it may even take longer because there's less characters and things are so refined already.
Yeah. How killable do you think Ana is right now? Like when I see good,
very generally.
You think so? Okay, cool.
She's kind of hopeless if you miss the sleep, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a good Ana is going to be really hard to flank, but she's also very unforgiving. Like, I don't know. She keeps reminding me of Zenyatta in that, like, Zenyatta had the potential, I'm talking pre-patch Zenyatta, to be very good and very effective, but he was just very unforgiving to play, right? I mean, you really had to do everything right to be effective and also survive. Yeah. And Ana seems to be in a similar camp, with the limited experiences I've had with her.
I mean, the grenade, she can heal herself as well as sleep, so she does have that aspect.
Yeah, she has that.
No mobility, but she can heal herself at least instantly. But I don't think she can put people down in a one-on-one.
With the high rate of fire, maybe she'll be better at
maybe
1v1ing in case somebody gets into the back lines. But I don't know. I haven't played it yet since the patch. So.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I've only played about 5 games with it so far, and it's been hard to tell. I don't usually play on it either, so hard to say so far. I'll have to play another few days worth, or at least a week's worth, and talk about it again.
Like the catch-22 is that I only want to play competitive, but I don't think my Anna is good enough to play in competitive
I know,
yet.
right?
So I'm just not getting to play Anna.
I'm in the same place, man. I'm actually having a character crisis right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I need to do some
Farah.
quick play.
Between what?
Make myself do some Anna quick play.
I can't play Farah anymore, which was one of my most played characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to play a shit ton of 76 on defense. And I can't really play 76 anymore. Like, at first I was like, oh, he's fine. He's still totally viable. But the more I played him, man, it's really tough. When the attacking team is just pushing straight in on you, you don't have time to let your spread go back to nut zero. So, yes, I feel like 76 is in a rough place.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to learn Zenyatta. That's what I've decided. But I'm afraid of losing all my ranked points as well.
Oh no, we've got
He's
this.
so much fun. See, I've been preparing for this since the first day I got in the beta, man. I've been playing Zenyatta so much, and now finally he was buffed like I knew he always would be.
I used to play a lot too. I used to play a lot as Zenyatta, and then I ended up shading more towards the Mercies and the Lucias just because of meta. So it is pretty cool to have Zenyatta back, and it just feels good. Zenyatta's shooting, like his left click, there's a different feel to that versus any of the other characters. That I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it feels really good. It feels like you're throwing darts that go literally through people, and they did a really good job with that.
But his it's like really slow. I think that's one of the hardest parts about him is like learning how to hit people with your left click because you really have to lead them.
Lead them, yeah, you do. But man, ladder anxiety, Van, are we really seeing that? I hope we don't see too much of that.
It's just a game.
You can take a dip. It's cool. And just come right back.
Nah, dude. I don't ever want to go below 70 again.
Oh man, this is
quick play, man.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, we have a couple non-game news, in terms of Overwatch with the comic and a new graphic novel actually announced for April 2017. So Blizzard has joined forces with Dark Horse to combine to Dark Horse Comics to release a new graphic novel that we'll see later next year, and then it's going to be followed up by an art book. Right after, that's pretty cool. I think the Overwatch art has been very impressive. Just continuing on with the different types of media that we're going to be seeing for Overwatch. And if you're a fan of the comics, another comic came out this past week too. That was let's see, what was it called actually? It was the first comic that actually had kind of multiple characters in it, right? Old soldiers. That's what it's called. And this one had the soldier, Ana, Reaper type of story. It's up to date, so it's not talking about like back in the old days. It's more about like what's going on right now. Probably ahead of anything that we've seen so far in terms of the storyline. The interaction was okay. So Doa, you didn't sound like you liked this issue very much.
I don't know. Maybe I felt like I've been keeping up on the lore pretty closely, but. Mm-hmm. A lot of this comic didn't make a ton of sense to me. I don't want to judge it too harshly because I've only read it once, and maybe I need to go back and read it more carefully. But it didn't hold my interest like the other ones did. Honestly, I like the characters, but the story seemed a little bit meh.
Okay, Ben, did you get a chance to look at it?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool to see backstory for kind of like the core, or not. It's not even backstory, like you said. It's kind of the current
it's the elders
situation.
Yeah, basically.
But it's like the old Overwatch squad getting back together and fighting each other. But yeah, I mean,
who's on whose side? It's hard to tell.
I guess I'm just wondering, like, what is the plot actually? Like, why are they in a nuke this? Like, what are they trying to accomplish? Like,
exactly. What are they doing
absolutely
there? Like,
nothing.
how do they relate to each other? Who's working for who? I don't feel like any of that was really explained, in the comic. Maybe there's other lore that would make all this make sense, but I must have missed it.
Yeah, there's a little bit, there's obviously these hints at what happened in the past, and I think a lot of the things that we're seeing all tend to, try to make what's happened already a little bit clearer. But the present, no idea what's going on in the present. Like last we saw, Soldier was, just kind of doing his own thing, right? And just everybody was just literally doing their own thing. And then now they just kind of come together, and it looks like Ana and Soldier are going to be teaming up from here on out. And then Reaper, I mean, he actually didn't seem like such a villain in this one, right? It almost seemed like he was, something happened to him, right? And there's obviously a whole story behind that as to like why he became this ghost-like character.
Yeah,
he was just a normal dude before. So,
well, seems like his story is kind of the classic tragedy of the jealous second.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Then turned into Frankenstein type of thing, like trying to get more power.
More like Scar from Lion King, right?
Yeah, but
where
Scar from
like
Lion King, if he turned
king,
into
but
some
he's close enough to be jealous and maybe take power kind of thing.
Okay, but that wouldn't explain like the whole turning into a ghost, phasing, all this weird stuff too.
Well, no, I'm just saying like where the character was at before this happened.
Yeah. Okay.
Motivations for having this change happen, right?
Yeah, I could.
And
I
obviously there was feelings which were then exacerbated by the catalyst event, which is whatever turned him into what he is now.
Yeah. So
I was wearing my Soldier 76 shirt yesterday, and it's got the silhouette of 76 with the white hair coming out the top.
Oh, God.
And my coworker is like, "Oh, nice Bernie Sanders shirt."
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Nice meme, dude. Nice meme.
Oh, Bernie Sanders. He's our new dad.
Oh.
Yes. Oh gosh. All right. Next up, so I have this article from a Street Fighter designer who was basically wrote an article on Serlin. Serlin.net, which I'll link here in the Twitch chat. And it was his I guess analysis and opinions on how Overwatch treats elo and ranking up and ranking down. What his take was on even just taking into account individual performance during a game and that affecting how much you go up and down too. And a lot of good points. I mean, I'm not going to really go through the entire article, but one of the few things that to really note from the article is that he does believe that there is such thing as an elo hell, and generally he doesn't believe that individual performance should be taken into account when determining just elo. And elo hell I definitely believe exists, especially like I was saying before. I think it's in that 40s and low 50s area where people are still being placed and ranked and things like that, particularly early on. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the individual performance playing a part? Because when it first came out, I think a lot of us thought it was a good idea, but now what do you guys think?
I don't think I was ever really in favor of individual performance.
Okay.
Counting, because how do you track individual performance? I mean,
right.
Sometimes I play Reinhardt and I get a bunch of fucking kills and I feel like a badass, and then other times I play Reinhardt and it's 2 minutes into the game and I've done 220 damage, and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing, but I'm still doing a good service for my team. So I don't think that there's a good way to judge individual performance accurately. Like, this game is too team dependent, too objective dependent to really make huge. I don't know. I don't love the fact that it's based on your performance. I'll say that.
I mean, for me, I would definitely never claim to be an expert in ranking systems or anything like that. A lot of it is mathematically way beyond what
right.
my feeble play-by-play brain can handle. But it makes sense that if it's a team game, you focus more on the results of the team in general. I think if that's the primary focus of the ranking system, it promotes the type of play that makes people work together, and try to achieve whatever goal the map has. And so I don't know, I can't really say how good or bad the current system is. The fact that it's based so much on individual skill, I think obviously does hurt support players like me a little bit, because the numbers that we get, aren't going to be as big as DPS players in terms of eliminations. And it seems like maybe healing isn't counterweighted strong enough to make up for that. Right. Just in terms of, what I've seen in the results of my own play in the low 50s, low to mid 50s, and what my friends have seen, as DPS mains. So I, again, like I don't understand it fully, and I probably never will. But just in my personal feeling, it seems like it punishes players that play a certain type of role, which it shouldn't. And maybe it would be good to see more of a focus on team results over individual play. But
yeah,
it'd be nice to learn a little bit more about it. But I doubt we will.
Yeah, and I want to ask this person who wrote this article, like, how does he? I mean, what do we actually know? How big is individual performance taken into account? I really don't know the answer to that. I have never noticed it playing. Like, I don't know. So
I mean, at the end of the day, you only move up if you win, and you only move down if you lose. So there is that. You're not gonna, if you play super well but still lose, you're never gonna move up.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where, like, when you lose a lot more than when you win. Like how much you gain when you win. And I
haven't been seeing that as much lately in my own games anyway.
I tend to see that, especially when I'm playing support. I tend to see that quite a bit because with support, obviously, you're not going to get many kills. I mean, maybe with Lucio, I'll get a decent number of limbs, and I'm playing like a really bad team. I'll literally medal with Lucio, a lot of times. But like on eliminations and not damage, but definitely eliminations. But in terms of heal, you're always getting gold medal for heal, and that's almost like a given. So at the same time, it's hard to measure just purely on what medal you get, right? But there'll definitely be some Lucio games where my team just can't stay, like they just die, like they're just not good, and I feel like I pay a huge price, as a support player because of that, because I can't do any healing if they're, they literally just die instantly. And so what I've seen, honestly, where I am, I definitely drop more than I gain, which, that causes this whole elo hell thing. Whenever, you have certain players that can carry, and then they can get you up, and then you have certain players that can't carry, and you're not playing a DPS, you're not playing DPS characters. So you rely on other people to do that. And I don't, like the way they place you and the way they group you guys doesn't necessarily have anything to do. I don't think it has anything to do with that right now. It's just purely your ELO ranking.
So what you're saying is ELO hell exists for support and tanks.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I guess with my own personal experience lately, I've been moving up with a win more than I move down with a loss. The one thing I notice is I don't tend to move up as far as some DPS friends that I see, but I'm definitely moving up farther than I'm moving down in general. If I perform well, if I have a really bad game where I only get like 60 limbs or something like that, then I move down quite a bit. But if I have like an average game where I'm looking at like like 20 limbs or something like that in a average like payload map, and I have like a pretty good game healing overall, like gold or silver, then I tend to move up about 2/3 of a rank, and I'm sitting at 54 right now for that frame of reference. I
think it depends on who you play too, because you're playing Zen, and I've mentioned on the show before that I think Zen at times is miscategorized. He's very much a DPS. He's very much a DPS character too.
My playtime in competitive, I have 3 times as much Lucio playtime as Zen playtime overall.
Yeah, and I mean Lucio is definitely, again, better because I feel like the more well-rounded support players, the better chance you have at least this performance, whatever this performance score is. But if you're playing Mercy and your team is literally just like doing dumb things and dying super quick,
Mercy's impossible.
Then I literally have like 4,000 healing, which is really bad, like for a match. Like I have 4,000 healing, but I mean, what else can I do? I can't do anything when my team is, isn't doing very much, and then I take a huge hit for the loss, and that's really
I don't play Mercy in competitive anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways,
I don't really like Mercy.
There's a lot. But anyways,
like, what, Eric? No one else does either.
Yeah, that's the
She's not bloodthirsty enough for me.
I have a friend who's like a Mercy main, and he's like a really good Mercy. And we were queuing the other night, and every single game, all of our teammates were just like,
"I need healing.
Prefer Zenyatta. I'd really prefer Lucio. Like anything but Mercy." I'm like, oh god.
If anyone questions my pick in a competitive match, I automatically mute them. I'm like, all right, I don't care. I'm playing what I want to play, man. I'm not going to question what you want to play. If you want to play Torbjorn on offense on Hanamura, I don't care, man. Go for it. but don't question what I'm playing. You know.
All right, I guess we're not going to be queuing together anytime soon.
Exactly. Well, you don't get any healing either, so you shouldn't
There you
criticize
go.
the healer because they won't heal you. Nah, I mean they better heal you, otherwise you're gonna die too. But anyways, yeah, it's a good article. Definitely read up on it. And again, it's a very well known Street Fighter designer, Serlin. So take a look at that. Esports news. Okay, so we've had two pretty big team news headlining this week. The first one actually being the biggest one. So TSM picks up Code 7. And this is obviously huge, given that TSM is a very, very large esports brand that we've seen in multiple esports. Obviously, particularly League of Legends, just most famous for that. And the picking up Code 7. Code 7's been performing really, really well the last few weeks, maybe even months now. Arguably the second best Overwatch team in the world right now. I don't think anybody would argue with that, given their results. But along with Code 7, obviously comes with the whole accusation stuff with the TGO brothers, and it's escalated. There was the competitive Overwatch Reddit subreddit had just reactions, I guess, to TSM picking up Code 7, and instead of just having this joy of having a very large esports brand come and pick up another team. It was more just being disappointed, actually, that TSM picked up, a team that potentially has, hackers on or just cheaters on their roster. So, thoughts on just, I guess, how the community reacted?
Well, first of all, it's getting to the point where it's easier to count the major esports teams that aren't in Overwatch than are. Like, basically everyone.
Okay, true.
Like, almost every major team has joined the fray. It's pretty sweet to see TSM picking them up.
Obviously.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about Code 7 last week on the show, and I really hate seeing Reddit be the judge, jury, and executioner in a lot of these cases. And there's just so much misinformation floating around, and people so unwilling to actually listen to what I believe to be the truth. I forget if it was Torque or Nicholas, but one of the two made a post on the subreddit explaining their past and saying, yes, we made a horrible mistake. We have cheated in games in the past, but we're totally legit. We're totally clean. People aren't willing to hear that. And I think there is an interesting discussion to be had about how should we approach people who have a past of hacking, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago, whatever. How do we accept them to their community? Do we completely stonewall them? Do we accept them? Is it somewhere in the middle? If it's less than a year, do we stonewall them? If it's less than 2 years, that's an interesting discussion to be had. But what I hate seeing is, oh, they're hackers. They've hacked in Overwatch. There's proof of it. People were saying that they've hacked in organized competitive leagues, which is not true. They were banned by CEVO's anti-cheat software, but it wasn't in a competitive league that they actually used those hacks, at least to my knowledge. So I don't know. It's tough to be a community member who's kind of in the know, who knows a lot of the players personally. I met Torque and Nicholas at Agents Rising. It hurts. It hurts to be part of the community and see us just turn on each other. So I hope that people do have an open mind, and I don't condone cheating, of course. It's terrible what they did. If even if it was just in a public game or in pickup games or whatever, it's still terrible and despicable. But there's a point where we should give folks a second chance and not jump to these crazy conclusions based on little to no evidence whatsoever. I just think innocent until proven guilty in Overwatch. Let's let past be past and look at the future with these guys in Overwatch. I mean, that's my opinion on it. It's all very feeling based, but that's how I feel about the situation. I don't know.
Dua, what do you think?
I think TSM is certainly not an organization that's afraid of controversy. So I don't think we can be too surprised, that they made this move. But I'm kind of with Ben on this. That I think it's better that people just kind of wait and see what happens in this game and not be so quick to judge. And I personally haven't looked at any of the evidence with this. I really am not familiar with the situation deeply, but it's we right now in league, there's a big problem with Riot being judge, jury, and executioner, right, in their games, and that's a big problem for the scene, and I don't want to see Reddit be that in Overwatch, right? Because I mean, you can't on one hand say, oh, Riot, you can't do all these things to the teams without proper evidence and without letting an objective, impartial group decide what's going on. And at the same time, be on Reddit saying these guys can't play, they're always going to be cheaters and all that kind of stuff. So, I think you need hard evidence if you're going to, show that somebody did something. And until that exists, I think in this situation, innocent until proven guilty, right? And proven guilty means real hard evidence that is shown to be true.
Yeah. Or at least Blizzard's probably the judge in this in this whole scenario too. So,
we'll see.
Yeah, but yeah, I think unfortunately, this type of news was kind of just obviously took more of a negative angle, with all this. But in the end, like you said, Ben, there's another big esports organization joining into Overwatch, and obviously a lot of people keeping an eye on Overwatch too. I mean, we had Shaq actually tweet at Seagull like a couple of days ago, right, to join the NRG guys over there. So that was pretty crazy too. Just seeing just more prominent figures, especially Shaq being a team owner and obviously a huge celebrity and in other sports and things like that. So Overwatch just growing, and just at least Overwatch esports growing.
That's great to see. I really hope we get a great spectator client to make sure it's a watchable game.
Yes, we haven't made any strides in that. I feel like ever since Agents Rising, where we actually had 4 people I think working the cams. That's right? Agents Rising was the tournament.
Yeah.
That did that, yeah. Ever since then, I feel like we haven't had any move towards, I guess, that more of that type of setup. Maybe people are doing it that way, and I just haven't heard about it. But from what I'm watching, I don't feel like that's happening right now.
No, pretty sure ZP still runs cam for like 9 out of 10 tournaments.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's hard to.
That guy's a monster.
It's hard to staff all that,
It is,
and
but
I think a lot of it too is I would imagine Blizzard's working on a more robust spectator mode right now. So hopefully we'll see some sort of evidence that that's happening pretty soon. I mean, they've got to be working on something, right?
But even robust spectator mode, it's still going to require more, for it to be done well and right. I mean, we're going to need more cameramen than one person just running.
Yeah,
lives,
of course.
So
I've said from the beginning that any major tournament needs professional Overwatch cameramen, just like any other sport needs professional cameramen, and these guys need to, train well enough to do this and be, paid appropriately for it. And unless we have that, it's going to be a hard game to watch, I think.
Yeah, and people are starting to talk about it a little bit. So, like us going up to these 300K tournaments, we're going to talk about a little bit more. I feel like we need to get that spectator mode really, just the quality of the spectator mode, or just spectating in general. We need to get it up there even more, because people's first impression of Overwatch esports is going to be, it's a big deal. Like, a lot of people will be turned away from it and, might not come back for a few months. So you just got to make sure the product is as good as it can possibly be. But we'll talk about more of those events in just a second. So another bit of news from the teams is Bird leaves Northern Gaming Red, which it came out recently. It was like the last day, I believe, that this news here. Northern Gaming Red, I think they performed really well at Agents Rising and maybe a tournament after that, but ever since then they've been pretty quiet, and it sounds like they've had a little bit of upheaval there. But it's not that big of news, honestly. Like, have one player leave, but it's just, again, just proof that there's still some flux happening here, and teams are still trying to figure out how to gel properly, and how to actually do this full time, and practice and be on the same page, which can be very, very difficult when you're talking about 6 people being on the same page.
Yeah, and I mean, NG Red had so much momentum.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I did not expect this team to ascend as quickly as they did, and they were taking maps off great teams consistently. And frankly, Bird was one of the X factors on that team. I had never heard of this person before. I still have no idea what game Bird played previously, who he is. I mean, his name is Bird. Like, what the hell? So yeah,
birds are cool.
Yeah, birds are cool.
Seagulls are birds.
Seagulls doing all right. Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
So yeah, it sucks for NGR, but I'm sure Bird will find himself part of a new flock soon enough. Plenty of teams could round out with a player of his caliber because he was really one of the DPS anchors on that team. Probably one of the best soldiers in North America.
Yeah. And actually, Admirable did a pretty good write-up on all this. You guys can check that out. There was definitely some drama involved here, but not worth going into all the drama, so you guys can read the article. Sounds like he already has a team that he at least has his sights set on, so yeah, he won't be teamless for very long. That's for sure. All right, let's talk